All right, take two. Dooba-dooba-dooba-doo-ba-doo. Dooby-dooby-dooby-doo.
Doobly-doo.
Dooby-doo, dooby-doo. Meep-meep-doo. Meep-meep-meep-meep-meep-meep-meep-meep. Wow. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Erin.
How you doing? In the last 6 seconds since we turned off the previous recording.
You know what? I'm doing all right.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
How are you?
I'm good. I've been watching my cat be a donut for the last hour, and I just what a life she lives, man.
Every time I see a cat, I just think I'm so jealous.
I know.
I just want to be a cat so bad.
Like a well-loved house cat.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yes, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Also, it's been really fun. I've been watching you this whole time, and I have a spider plant.
I've seen it's like just slightly like nudge into my head
Just
every now and then. I'm
attacking
like,
you. So that plant was about this big, 6 inches tall when I got it, and it's a cutting from my best friend Mary's first year college plant. So
Wow.
I went to a women's college that has a very women's college tradition where the greenhouse will give you cuttings of a plant for free, and it's your first year plant, and you can choose from a number of different options.
That's delightful.
The idea is that you have this plant and you nourish it, and it's representative of your growing journey, and it grows with you, and by the time you graduate it's a big, most people kill theirs. Mine lasted for quite a while,
Right.
and then when I moved here it died. I don't remember why. I think
wonder
it just,
what that meant. Yeah. Wonder what that was an omen for.
I don't know. I had a jade plant, which was jades are remarkably difficult to keep alive for me. Succulents in general I find really difficult, but Mary gave me a cutting of her. This was a first year plant that she stole from someone. So because she had a spider plant, I don't know what happened to her true first year plant, but this was her roommate's that was abandoned.
Oh dear.
And so this spider plant is coming to me fourth hand. And it's just it refuses to perish.
I love that.
Yeah, this one is and it's given so many babies because spider plants reproduce. It's reproducing right now if you look up.
Is this?
Yeah, it's going to give off a bunch of little cuttings and stuff. I've had to do little plant abortions a couple of times because I just cannot with that. I have 8 cuttings of this thing that I've given away.
Very fair.
If you want a spider plant cutting, I will give you one.
That's very kind. My roommate has a spider plant and has been propagating like hell. So I think we're all set on the spider
They're
plant.
extremely fertile.
Yes, in fact they are.
Yeah, in ways that are really unnecessary. But anyway, I just keep watching it gently tap you in the side of the head, and I'm I'm so sorry.
It was disconcerting the first 2 times, and then once I realized, I was oh, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's
you're
a
I'm
little.
over it.
It's like a plant hug.
You don't even have you don't even have your ponytail to hide it anymore. You've got short hair now.
I know. It's just
and it's
straight
not
to
even
the
blue.
scalp. No, I know. It's just
got cute little gray streaks in it. But
I know. I'm glad people have been really kind and receptive to the gray. People come up to me and oh my god, I love the gray. It looks great.
Looks
and I'm thank you very much. I looked in the mirror one day, saw it, and screamed because it was it wasn't there.
Right.
I didn't do it. It just I really felt I blinked and suddenly there was just one gray stripe. Listeners, if you are familiar at all with Maxwell Sheffield of The Nanny, it is giving that on the side of my head.
Turn your head. Let me see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Weird.
Yeah, it's and I've always
not weird bad.
Yeah,
just
no.
interesting that it's it's in that.
It's so pronounced and near the temple. Yeah.
But it's one spot.
Mm-hmm. And
it's giving Claire Saffitz, honestly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lean into it, and the momentary panic of being oh god, aging on the mirror is frightening. But then I was okay, if I think about it, I've had gray hairs on the side of my head since I was in middle school. So I think this might just be a genetics thing. And now I'm you know what? Nature knows I'm trying to not dye my hair anymore. Just it was a lot of upkeep. I'm living in my natural hair era right now. And so nature's all right, here, have a little rogue streak.
Oh, yeah. She's helping you out.
Yeah, exactly.
She's you don't have to dye this one. I'll give you some contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. I think it looks cool.
Thanks.
Honestly.
I've been enjoying it. It's, it's not one of those things that I would have ever have thought to do myself. And who thinks about these kinds of things, but it's nice.
There's nothing wrong with looking older. It does not make you look older.
Yeah.
Both of those things are true.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good distinction.
I am very lucky that my hair is so light.
Yeah.
That I so far have not seen any gray hairs.
I love that.
But if I do, I think they'll blend for a while. So like, I feel like it'll be a choice when I can sort of like whether or not I want to sort of keep it. I've never dyed my hair. I don't intend to start. So
I wouldn't. Yeah, your hair is so beautiful. Please don't.
Yeah, I've always been told not to. My hairstylist, I've been going to the same hairstylist since I was 11. And she was like, I won't do it. Like, if you come to me, you better come to me having done it yourself. And they'll fix it for you. She was like, I will not put any color in your hair.
Yeah.
I have thought about doing like a purple under, just like one of the washout ones. Nothing permanent.
Yeah.
I'll never bleach my hair, like anything like that.
Please don't,
No, and it would scare me, but I'd be afraid it would change the texture.
Yeah, and it would.
Yeah, and I like the texture of my hair.
It's so soft and fluffy.
It's so fun.
I love it.
I desperately need someone to play with my hair.
Gelatin makeup.
Oh. Just kidding.
We'll have to reset the whole studio.
Yeah, we're gonna go sit. It'll be when we go play games.
Oh, delightful!
I'll be like, I will just sit in front of Alan and we'll just go squitch. I love that shit.
I know.
I make
I'm
every
aware.
friend I have do it because I am so silly.
Because you are a cat.
I am a cat. I wish to be a cat. Hello and welcome back to the Vic List.
Oh my god! Did we not do that already?
No, that was such a divergence. That's okay.
You know what? Intro/banter. Check. Got that.
That was on the outline. We did it. Woo! Yay! What a day. And then the next thing is longer ketchup.
Yeah.
Yay! Ketchup, not the condiment, but the filling in of what actually has been going on in the last 6 months of our lives.
Indeed.
Because we were like, we can't do that in the previous episode because we got shit to talk about.
That's
we
true.
got to scoot.
Yep.
I was like, I have a lot of important shit to talk about at the top, and then we're going to talk about fucking.
There's no time.
No time for just cordial, friendly banter.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I feel like, and I think this happens every year, and I'm here every year. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
But as the winter changes into spring and the spring thaws out into the summer, so do people, and suddenly there's parties and events and oh, let's do this and that, and I'm like, I'm so tired.
I am asleep.
Oh man, it's and it's,
I get it.
It's balancing the I'm grateful that I have friends and people that invite me to do things.
Yep.
And also I'm an introvert. And I just want to lay on my couch and do nothing.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's all stuff you want to do.
Yeah.
And the stuff,
always.
and it's you can't say no to going to work. Really.
Right.
You can't say no to cleaning your apartment or getting groceries or whatever it's going to be. There's certain stuff that is not optional.
Yep.
The optional things are the fun things. And so you're stuck with a finite amount of energy for the fun stuff in your life, unless you have $1 million bajillion dollars. And so it sucks because you're I want to be doing all of the things that I'm doing, but I also have to be responsible and say no, because if I don't, I will burn out. And it sucks. I have started doing a thing where I choose, mostly it's Sundays, but it depends on the weekend. I pick a day that is a DNS day. Do not schedule.
That's smart.
It's hard to maintain.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep myself to it. But in general, I've been on a journey of moderation the last year.
That's great.
I am historically a very extreme girly.
Same.
Where it's I go from one extreme to the other. And I was like, what if I just didn't do that? What if I tried really hard to be a normal, an adult person with moderate habits? And it's been really it's been mostly successful.
Oh, wonderful.
And having that sort of DNS day has been really helpful because that's my day to meal prep and dick around and watch a movie or whatever.
Yeah, that's really great. I try to. I very recently, this is funny, I just had a conversation with James, my therapist, this week about
shout out James.
Yeah, shout out to James.
Still here,
baby. Although technically not here. He moved to Georgia.
What the fuck?
He lives in Atlanta now, and
James!
he just dropped that on me one session. He's like, "Oh, by the way, you're gonna see an email, but I wanted to make sure to tell you I'm moving.
Yeah,
nothing will change for you. We've been meeting virtually, so that's all good.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
licensed. It's all good." I was like, "Okay, great." I see. So the way this works is every week I come bearing my soul to you, and you can't bother to tell me about life updates until the week before you move. Fine, James.
I think that's a healthy boundary.
That's true.
Actually, I think that's good. I don't think you should know about your therapist's life.
Yes, it was totally unjust, but it was just really
funny.
Yeah.
You were like, I thought this was mutual.
But anyway, James was telling me, I was talking to James about how stretched I'm feeling and how I'm trying to keep tabs of all of the things I do. And he's like, yeah, let's talk more about that. How do you keep track of the time that you have to offer? And I was like, I don't.
You're like, funny story about
that. Yes,
that.
Actually, it's a good question.
That's part of the problem.
Yes, exactly. And he's like,
you've identified the issue.
And so, fuck. Yep. And so now there's a separate calendar on my calendar where I'm like, this is just for things that bring me joy or give me energy. Like these are the things that I want to do, that I want to carve out space for, and like I want to have like space to focus on like reading more plays and like just trying to be more mindful of how my time is spent.
Is it a Google Calendar?
Of course it's a Google Calendar.
I love that both of us have to put our free time on the Google Calendar.
This is life now, Erin. And first of all, I have to tell you, this is your fault.
I know it is. It's your fault. I did this to you.
You did, as my boss who used to make all my calendars.
I owned your life.
You did,
and for that whole year.
I loved it. I remember so vividly too. It was all color coded. It was beautiful, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then I started trying to color coding. You're like, "Can you not do that? Actually, you're fucking up my colors." I was like, "Oh, might be. You have a system."
I do have a system. I have a very intense system.
Yes.
I retain that system in my day-to-day life.
I love it. Yeah.
What's really funny, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. Most of the templates and the like office stuff that I had or learned from that institution, I have hijacked for my personal life.
Good. That's
fully
great.
Still use them. Our show budgeting doc,
I
have hijacked for personal budgeting.
Yes, excellent.
All of the Google Calendar templates, color coding schemes, everything, the way that I overlap calendars in my life, totally stolen from show calendars.
Excellent.
Like it's all there, and it's so funny because I work again with our former production manager.
Oh yes, that's right.
She also is affiliated with the chorus that I sing with. She's our treasurer.
Oh, fun.
And I am getting more involved in the financial side of the chorus because we're trying to like spread out the work a little bit because it's been settled into a couple of different people and that's failing. So we're like, okay, we need to make like committees of people. And I was like, well, I can do the finance stuff because I know how she's going to want all the receipts and stuff because I used to work for her. So I know how her brain works.
Hysterical.
This is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And our treasurer was like, oh, thank fuck. Thank fuck someone knows what they're doing. And I was like, I got you.
Yes.
I can do this.
Of course.
Which was just really funny. But yeah, no, I fucking love a template. I love Google Calendar.
Yeah.
That's why we're executive assistants.
It's true. It's really
we have the same job.
Yeah.
We play calendar Tetris for a living.
Do you have the same phenomenon where like it's 7 p.m. and people are like, oh, like what are you doing tomorrow? Like, oh, do you want to get together later this week? And I'm like, my scheduling allotment for today has been used already, so do not talk to me about scheduling. Hit me up in business hours.
Way worse than that. It'll be like, oh, what are you doing for dinner tomorrow? And I'll be like, you have to book me like a month out. Way worse.
Yep. Here's my Calendly link.
Yeah. I'm like, please choose an appointment date at least 3 weeks, 3 business weeks in advance.
Yep.
It's horrific. I have one of our people that I like catch up with every like so often. She and I both were like, so do we want to put something on the calendar? And we went, July? And this was in February.
Oh my God.
And she was like, well, I'm going to be traveling. And I was like, well, I'm going to be traveling and we're going to do this and that. I was like, what about, maybe we'll aim for June with some buffer room in July. And it fully wound up in July. And I was like, this is horrific. This is bad.
It's all of those
It
memes.
was just a confluence of things. Like I probably could have done sooner, but she couldn't. And then the days that she could have done sooner, I couldn't. But I was like, is this adulthood?
Yes.
It's so bad.
It is.
It's so bad.
I had to like, my roommate and I scheduled nights. Like we were like, we haven't seen each other in forever and like I want to hang out. So we have like a night this week and a night next week where it's like those are the nights we're just chilling on the couch.
Yeah.
But it's like you really have to budget and you have to figure out because everyone's so busy.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Like on the one hand, would love to like go on dates.
Yeah.
Other hand, don't have time.
I got asked on a date by this guy twice now, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "Well, this weekend I got this and this and this," and he's like, "What are you doing during the week?" I was like, "I got this and this and this," and he's like, "All right, I'll try again next week."
Never mind.
Yeah,
yeah, it just sucks.
Yeah,
it's
rough.
Like, and even in the times when you don't technically have anything on the calendar, it's like, no, that's my recovery time.
Exactly.
If I don't get that recovery time, I'm gonna be a huge raging bitch, and that's not good for anyone.
Yep.
That does not make for a good date.
Just because you're available does not mean that you have the capacity.
Right. And it's like, oh, fuck. Well, I guess that's the world.
It's true.
I've been taking up some new hobbies in the intervening time.
Oh, that's exciting.
Well, this isn't so much a hobby as it is another moderate life thing. I've been going on a debt journey.
Oh, yes. That's what you were telling me about this.
I don't know if I've told the podcast this, but I was in a bit of debt that I did not feel comfortable with. And everybody's threshold for debt, I think, is a little different. In my case, I was like, I had reached about $13,000-ish worth of debt. And most of that was COVID survival debt. So I'm trying to not feel too bad about it.
For sure.
But I was like, I now make significantly more money than I did then when I was like really racking up the expenses. I want to be serious about my money, and I want to figure out how to use it, and I want to figure out how to whittle this down. No one tell my parents about this. They don't know. Don't be a snitch.
I'm sending it.
But I started working with a financial advisor who has become like my therapist.
I love that.
Let's be honest. Her name is Anne Claire. Hi, Anne Claire.
Hi, Anne Claire.
I love you so much. She might listen to this.
Oh, dear.
Who's to say?
Hi, Anne Claire.
Anne Claire, I need you to know that I love you with my whole heart. But really, we do treat it like financial therapy. And
that.
Often like talk about the emotional circumstances that lead to overspending and how to like mitigate those things, and like what it's been so helpful to have somebody who's on board with like the moderate thing, because I was like, I'm gonna be really strict, I'm gonna do like a year of like no spending, and she was like, that's not gonna work. I was like, that's how you get yourself into worse trouble, actually, because you rebound. Kind of the way with like dieting.
I was literally thinking
it's that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's what I do with food too. Fuck. And she was like, let's, we'll set basically like a certain amount of, your money aside per paycheck. We'll do like, because I get paid bi-weekly, but it's not the set days every month. It's just every other Friday. So like my bills kind of shuffle on like when they're going to hit.
Right.
And so she was like, let's just set a reasonable amount of money aside from each paycheck to make this happen.
Love that.
For debt. And we'll set aside stuff too for savings. So that way when you do, she was like, I know you travel. I know you want to go do podcast stuff. You want to go to concerts. I'm going to like 8 fucking concerts this spring.
You're wild.
I'm going to so many.
So many.
But she was like, set aside money from your paychecks into a travel and entertainment fund.
Genius.
Just so you have it. So you're not putting it on a credit card. And she was like, and it doesn't have to be a lot either. She was like, have one for gifts. She was like, throughout the year, set aside $10 a paycheck for Christmas gifts.
Genius.
It's like, fucking shit,
Holy
Anne Claire.
fuck.
This is why I pay you.
Yeah.
I was like, I never would have thought of that. So I have this whole savings account with buckets of different things that will come up in my life. So it's like annual bills and expenditures, an emergency fund, travel and entertainment. I have a rainy day fund, gifts, and a down payment fund because I want to save up for property.
Amazing.
And I just put like a little bit of every paycheck in there. It feels manageable most of the time. Sometimes I skip them because it's like I need this money for something that came up or whatever.
Right.
And it has been the only effective tactic I've ever had to like cut down debt while also saving money. I'm down to about like $7,000 in less than a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
So listeners, find yourself an Anne Claire.
I was literally like, I'm just gonna have to Google Anne Claire
I
later.
will actually send you a reference because fucking love her.
That's excellent.
And my particular financial advisory fund spoke like people will focus on public sector, low income, and not investments. Like they're about cash flow and minimizing cash flow for people who do not have a lot of money.
That's excellent.
Which is what I love. And it's also like it's a sliding scale, and it's like a fixed payment per month. Like they don't operate like a lot of like wealth managers, quote unquote, will like work on a commission or have like a percentage. So their incentive is to make your investments as profitable as possible.
Got it.
In my people's case, I'm paying them the same no matter what.
Nice.
And there's no incentive for them to try to upsell me on anything, which that was part of the reason I chose them.
I love that. Yeah. So
it's like a flat rate. It might change when I start to make more money because it is a sliding scale, and I will be happy to pay more when I'm able to because I fucking love them. And there was like an upfront, like an onboarding fee basically where we did a lot of the planning work. That was like more money, but now it's just basically like a monthly maintenance thing.
That's
awesome. They're helping me figure out what I want to do with my investments. Like when I eventually have a retirement account, because I have a pension, which is slightly different. I will eventually also have like a retirement account that is an investment based account, even though I don't believe that we're going to be able to retire because I think the world's going to end by then.
Yep.
Anne Claire looked at me. I said that to her and she was like, look, I understand. However, what if we don't die?
Yep.
And I was like, fuck, Anne Claire, you're right. She was like, you got to be prepared for what happens if the world doesn't end.
It would be one last fuck you from the world.
Right. You're going to want money. So if we're dead, who cares? You'll be dead. You won't care.
It's true.
But if you're alive, boy, will you care. And I was like, that's the only way that you can possibly convince me to have a retirement account.
It's wise. Yeah.
This is why she's my therapist. She's so smart.
Good. I love her.
Fucking love her. Anyway, moral of the story, that has been one of my big activities, has been like getting my financial house in order.
That's amazing. I love that. That is so good. As someone who struggles with all of that, like everything you were saying was super resonant. And I was like, I love this for you.
I've also been working through the shame of it because I feel like I am somebody who other people often are like, you have your shit together in ways that like, it's like, you have your shit together in ways that I could never do. Or like, you're so responsible. Like all this stuff. And
you give off competent vibes.
Yeah, which is very flattering. Yeah. But in my internal life, sometimes like, particularly with money, I feel really out of control or felt really out of control. And that was like shame inducing because I was like, but I'm supposed to be the responsible one.
Yeah.
This goes against my thing. It's the same issue I had with food. And it was like this outlet for this sort of like chaos gremlin energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I don't feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to go the other way and start being like a fucking like tightwad about it. Like I want to go on trips and I want to do stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way how to like find the middle ground. So the success of this has been really great.
Good. I'm so glad.
I'm also learning how to play the ukulele.
A worthy pursuit. Excellent.
Yeah. So, we run the gamut here at the Fic List.
That's incredible. That sounds so good.
I'll play you a song later.
Yes, please do.
It's really fun.
I have recently gotten back on stage for the first time in 8 years. It has been
so fun.
So exciting.
You were so good.
Very kind. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes,
really I really appreciate you all coming out. Yeah, I had a moment back in 2023 where I was like, God, I miss telling stories. I miss like being involved in theater because now my job is not in theater and it was for such a long time. And I think I burnt out so much on the business side of theater that I was like, I just really, I need some space. I need some distance. And I got that, worked on myself. And now I'm feeling again, like I really want to put myself out there. I want to start, I took classes to get my confidence back.
Nice.
And, then started putting myself out there. I did a community theater production of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
So good.
Yeah, for anyone who is familiar with Shakespeare.
Your little trumpet.
Yeah, I had a little trumpet. It was adorable. It was a lot of fun.
I do wish they had let you play the trumpet.
It had this it was like a squeaky toy inside. So whenever I blew on it, it was like a squeak.
Which is hilarious.
It's so funny. I did that during our brush up rehearsal once because we weren't doing lights or cues or anything. We weren't in costume. We were just in regular people clothes. But I had my trumpet, and I'm supposed to have like all these trumpet cues. I'm like, everyone lost their shit. It was hysterical. I was like, we should have just used this.
They should have let you do it once.
Yes, I almost
right at the end.
I almost thought about telling the stage manager, don't play the trumpet cues on the last show. It's me and my trumpet.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to do that to her. But it was such a lovely, wonderful experience, full of lovely, incredible people. Most of which I saw yesterday at a party. Like
nice.
One of the costume designer was having a party and invited all of us, and no one said whether they were going or not. But we saw we were on the invite, and I was like, I really like those folks, and I would love to, like, if I saw just like 2 or 3 of them, that'd be great. Everyone showed up.
Nice.
Basically, the entire cast showed up, and I was like, this is really representative to me. Like, I've done shows before, and like, granted, it was a while ago, it was in college, but like, I've done shows before where you're in your cliques and you like, the people, like your 2-3 friends that you're super close to, and everyone else, you're like, oh yeah, like we're friendly. Right. This was like truly a cast of people that like I could talk to anyone, nice. Any combination of the people there, and it's really lovely that. Like I think that shows that all of us really enjoy each other's company. So it was it was a really lovely experience. I feel very gratified. My heart is very full. And I'm looking forward to doing more of it. Yeah.
Nice. And theater kids love a party. So.
We sure do. I was out until 2 a.m.
Yeah. Did you go to a diner at the end of it?
No.
Damn it.
It was just hanging around in someone's apartment drinking.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
To be fair. Wow. Well, that's kind of like the chorus that I'm in. Like that has really, I think one of the things that has been really fun, and I think you and I are both in this place right now in our lives where like we've gone from professional creative people to hobbyist creative people with professional jobs that have nothing to do with the creativity that we do. And I have found personally that is actually way better for me in terms of my artistry and being like a creative person is I actually have the time and the energy to do creative stuff now that it's not like I'm not working in a dumpster fire all the time. Yeah,
I agreed. There's something really lovely about it being able to just be the thing that is like fills your heart. Like it's not tied to how much money you're making. It's not tied to your performance in any which way. Like it's just about you having fun and enjoying the thing. Right. You do it because you love it. Exactly. We did. So again, my chorus is a labor chorus. So we do a lot of like social justice stuff. We go to a lot of rallies. And this past week we went to an event with Code Pink, which is a feminist organization. I love that. And it was a song fest for folks who have been doing lobbying work for Palestine. So it was hosted by the Raging Grannies. Love that. That's amazing. So cool. They're a group of older women who have been, they're an anti-war group.
They're like a peace group.
Wonderful.
And they've been around for a long time. They're currently focusing on the genocide in Palestine right now. But they've been going to Congress and they lobby, especially around Mother's Day. And the idea is like send in 1,000 grandmothers. There's a song about that. And how like, you know, grandmothers will bring peace because they've just like, they've lived too long for that shit. And they write basically parody songs, but like anti-war parody songs. So they hosted this community song fest at a church in DC, and they invited a whole bunch of like labor and social justice groups. What was really funny is that it was like our chorus overlaps with every other group. So people would be in one t-shirt and then they would go off stage and they put on another t-shirt and it was like, well, you're in this group and this group, but then this person's in this group and this group, and it was like the same like 8 people. Which is really funny because the crew, like there's like just so much overlap. Like the community is really tight and people are in multiple groups. But we just like sang a lot of like peace songs, anti-war songs. There were a bunch of students from the encampments there, and like one of them came up to me and I was like, hey, like you have a lot of people behind you, and he just like looked really like taken aback and just was like, thank you, like we need to hear that. And I was like, take the songbook. Like, go sing some songs, be safe. If you can't be safe, be smart. And you know, they were rebuilding the encampment down at Georgetown, and I was like, be careful. And it was a really intense evening, but it was also such, again, to like harken back to what we were talking about in the previous episode, like it was such a joyous thing, even though it was also hard, because it was like we're in a room full of people who envision a better world and are working to commit to it, and it was just so beautiful. I sang a little solo.
Of course you did.
Which is like really building my confidence.
Good. Maybe
like it's one of those things where like me now also learning how to play the ukulele and like singing more, I just am like, I was really shattered by stage fright in college. It became very difficult for me to perform, and this is really just like, it's building back up the confidence to sing. And people came up to me and they were like, you have such a beautiful voice. And I was like, stop, but don't stop. Tell me more about how beautiful my singing voice is. Thank you. It's feeding my ego.
Good.
But it was really, really fun.
Excellent.
So I'm glad both of us are having that.
Yeah.
And now we're here doing this podcast.
Exactly. And like,
she's also creative, ego fulfilling, ego in the best sense.
And I've got to say, like, as you know, I hope this doesn't come across in the way that I don't mean it. But I'll
tell you.
I have found previously that like when it's time to like record the podcast, like at the start of the season, sometimes I'm wiped. And I'm like, oh man, I'm really tired, but like, you know, I want to do this. I like doing it, but getting the energy to do it is hard. And I often find myself scrambling to like finish the fic on like the night before or whatever, etc. And because, and I, you know, I don't know if it's because of just necessarily the way that I'm spending my energy, but like I do feel like having done the acting thing again, and like, you know, putting like seeing friends more regularly, making time for them, making time for myself, I arrived today and like I was ready. I had I was late, but that was the Uber's fault, not mine. But I was ready. I'd read the fic like 2 days ago. I finished it 2 days ago. There's just not the like pressure on my shoulders that there used to be. And I think there's something to be said about like when you are doing things that fill different buckets in your life, you feel more balanced and you have more energy for the other things, you know, as opposed to just being like super stressed at work and like I have nothing else going on. It's just like work stress, this stress, a lot of stress. But now it's like, yeah, work is still stressful, but also I've got all of these other wonderful things that are making me happy.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, exactly.
There have definitely been seasons of this podcast where
we're
going into
crawling.
it. Going into it, I thought, I don't know if Alan's going to say yes to this again.
Yeah.
And I was very sort of scared of what that would look like because I was like, I'm so ready to do this. But there have been times too where I was like, I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah.
And that usually happens more around the holidays. When we get to the end of the seasons, where I'm just like, fuck this shit.
It's rough.
But it's just because the holidays are stressful.
Yeah.
But like there have definitely been times where I was like, this might be the end of this thing. And that would really break my heart. But we haven't done that yet, which has been great.
I agree.
And it feels less and less true over the course of time too, where I'm like less worried about that.
Yeah. And now. I think, and part of that too is like, I would even say like this episode is like proof of what is working for us, which is like we kind of lean into like what feels right to us, and like we aren't super like rigid about like, you know, if you listen to the first season, you obviously know that our format changed pretty fucking quickly.
Yeah, we were like, oh, this is a bad idea. This is unsustainable.
Exactly.
We can't read this much.
And so I feel like we're really good at like adapting to our needs and like making that work. And it's emblematic to me of like, this is why this is such a lovely, beautiful experience.
It makes us wildly unappealing to advertisers.
Oh yeah.
But I also don't give a flying fuck.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I love that we're doing this in the way that works for us. I love that we are trying to build a community around sort of like who we actually are versus some curated brand bullshit, which I think is garbage.
Agreed.
Segue into our topic for today. But also just like, I like that we're doing this the way that we do it. I like that we go to Comic-Cons not because we're trying to like promote ourselves per se, but because we love going to conventions and talking about this shit.
Yeah.
And so we're willing to just like be goofy little fuckers and like do stuff.
Yep.
And I don't think this podcast will ever be profitable.
Sure.
And I don't fucking want it to be.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
I love what we're doing. It's why sometimes when people are like, you could grow your TikTok, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, no thanks.
I'm actually really happy. I would love like slightly fewer.
If I can be just honest.
That's not true. I like our comment section is really nice. I think the amount of feedback and community loop that we have right now is so pleasant.
It's lovely.
You can have nuanced conversation with people, and we don't always agree. Like obviously I've been in situations where our TikTok comments will be like, I wildly disagree with this take, and I'll be like, tell me more, and then we'll have like a conversation. I love that we're at a space where we can have that, and I hope we hold on to this niche for as long as we do this podcast, because I fucking love it.
Agreed.
It's just the right fit for us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like, there's something nice about like, I feel like we grew into it, like, because like, you know, when you start, you're like, have all these aspirations, you're like, okay, we gotta like make sure we're not just talking out into a void. And so
which we did for a long time,
and that is true.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's podcast world.
Exactly. And but I think there's something to be said for like, at a certain point you kind of loosen up and you're like, it'll be what it'll be. It has to fit around what I want to do in my life.
Right. I also think that's how we've survived.
Yeah.
We would not be doing this anymore if we were still doing the structure of the first season.
No, we'd be dead.
We would have burnt out.
I think we would have done 2 seasons and been like, that was fun.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think you said this, and you were like, we have to give ourselves permission to not be like so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And just, it's going to be what it's going to be, and it'll be good.
Yep.
And I was like, thanks. I'm someone who like, I'm planning like 8 steps down the line, and sometimes I do need to be reeled in.
Yeah.
And be like, can you actually handle that? And the answer is no.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah. Chill. Take a deep breath, girl. Enjoy the ride while you're on it.
Exactly.
Don't worry about the next one.
Oh, love that.
So that has been a real gift, is to be able to do this thing and enjoy it and have it be still like, this is so wildly fun to me still. And I feel like there are so many people who get into creative projects and by the end they're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
And they don't like their co-host or whatever.
Oh man, yeah.
And I'm like, I like Alan. Alan's my buddy.
Aaron's okay.
Well, fuck you too. Never mind. I take it back. You're a butthead.
No, it's true. That is true.
Both things can be true at once. No, but like one of the things that on Discord comes up a lot of like why we like the podcast. It's like because Erin and Alan are clearly friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we do. We hang out. We have a really fun event planned in our lives where we're gonna do some illegal drugs.
It'll be so fun.
We're just gonna have like an edibles night, guys.
Yeah.
It's actually not illegal.
Illegal anymore.
No. It's legal where we are. But we were like, man, we should get stoned and watch movies because Erin doesn't do edibles, so this will be funny. One time, Alan and Caitlin got me a little drunk on tequila to go to a Green Day concert.
Oh, yep.
Which was so funny. I was just a little tipsy.
Just a little.
I don't drink much.
No.
But I think people find it fun to see me a little like loosely inhibited, uninhibited rather. And so like, it's just that kind of stuff where it's like, we trust each other. We're here for a good time. Like, yeah, that's the vibes we're trying to curate. So speaking of branding, one of the things that we wanted to talk about, so to get back to the sort of structure of these like alternating episodes, is like a general fandom topic. I wanted to talk about what happened with Watcher. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think, so if you've seen my TikToks, I did have a little moment of like, wow, this harkens back to a larger conversation about brands as identity and identity as brands. Yeah. And how I think that is starting to like fracture and fail as a tactic. And I want to talk to you about specifically what happened to Watcher, and then a little bit like zooming out, to quote Sam Reich from Dropout, which will come up in a minute, about sort of that topic.
Yes.
Do you watch Watcher?
I'm a very casual observer of Watcher. Like I was a big fan of BuzzFeed Unsolved, and so when they made the jump to Watcher, I saw a few of their shows, like the what's it called, like Spirits and
Too Many Spirits.
Too Many Spirits was fun.
Yeah.
I love their Are You Afraid? Are You Scared?
I think it's Are You Scared?
Are You Scared? I didn't actually watch whatever the new iteration of BuzzFeed Unsolved was. If they ever went to like
Ghost Files.
Yeah, I never saw any of that.
Oh wow, we're opposite.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm a big Watcher fan. Have been historically. Yeah. Same thing. Followed them from BuzzFeed Unsolved. Was super excited about their new channel.
Yeah.
Got really into Ghost Files. Really into Mystery Files. I really liked some of the food stuff that Stephen Lim was doing.
Nice.
He's stepped back from that a little bit.
Right.
But I did really enjoy some of that, and like I really love the sort of like them being dumb content.
Yeah.
So like Weird Wonderful World was a great one that I wish they would bring back. There was one called Tourist Trap that they did one episode of, where they went to 3 touristy and 3 non-touristy things in a city. Fun. It was great. They did one. Apparently, it was wildly expensive.
I guess that makes sense.
But I thought that was such a great. It's just them being goofballs.
Yeah,
and that's like what their content is.
I was gonna say, and like part of the thing is like what we were just talking about is like I really loved Ryan and Shane because like just them, they're hanging out.
Right.
They're buds.
Yeah. Neither one of them has the brain cell.
No.
Which is like the best part of their content, and like why BuzzFeed Unsolved was like so good about that, because it was just like the setup of the dichotomy between the two of them was really brilliant, but it like took itself seriously, but it didn't. And so when they had Watcher, like it really carried over into that.
Yeah.
And I will say I'll be totally honest. I had been starting to sort of fall out of Watcher favor over the last, I would say, about year.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen one.
Yeah, I have religiously watched Ghost Files. I saw Ghost Files live the first time around, so I went to their live show.
Oh, I love that.
It was so fun.
Yay.
Like, that was a great experience. I went with a person who I kind of have a crush on, and Alan knows who that is, but the podcast doesn't need to.
You mean redacted.
Yeah, redacted. But she and I went, and it was like one of the most fun live shows I'd ever been to, because it was just so clear that it was like a whole bunch of nerds. And they showed one of the episodes of Ghost Files that like is a meme episode now.
Fun.
Like we got a really good episode out of it. And they showed the episode. We all reacted in real time. And then they came out and did a Q&A. And so people got to ask like really fun questions. Like it was just it was actually a great setup for a touring show. And so we did that. Like, I loved that. But a couple of things happened for me.
Yeah.
One, they had a merch debacle where their merch company wasn't fulfilling orders properly. Dear. But they didn't really take good accountability for it. So, like, I had ordered something stupid. It was like a sticker. Like, I think it was like a $3 item that didn't show up in an order of other things.
Wild.
And I sent an email, nothing. Sent another email, nothing. Checked the Discord because I was a Patreon at the time, and they were like, we know that there's merch issues, reach out to this one person in the team who was actually their marketing person. So I was like, oh, they dumped it off on like the 21-year-olds.
Yikes.
I don't know, that feels sketchy. Emailed her, no response, never got a refund, never got anything back. And I think they skated on a lot of goodwill in that moment, because I think a lot of people were willing to sort of blame the merch thing and be like, well, they're overwhelmed, they're getting a lot of pushback, this is a small company. I certainly thought it is not worth having a hissy fit over $3.
No.
And I'm not gonna like charge back my card for $3 either. Like just let it go. Whatever. And so, but that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, especially the handling of it, or the lack of handling of it. And then move forward into this most recent season of both Ghost Files and Mystery Files, their two sort of flagship shows. I thought they were really weak.
A bummer.
Yeah. I was like, Ghost Files, historically, like, it's supposed to be like a more high production value version of BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural, where they would go on ghost hunts.
Right.
I feel like they're like, there was one episode where they went to like an escape room in Florida that just was like so corporate. It was so weird. They were like, yeah, this haunted like escape room in Florida reached out to us. And I was like, oh, so you mean you did free advertising for them? Yeah. Well, I was like, they weren't even sponsored by. I was like, you just got conned into doing free advertising for this fucking escape room, Ryan. Like, come on.
Wild.
And it's not like that's actually like, but I was like, you don't see it. They were like, no, it's like a legit haunted escape room. And I was like, I don't believe you. And then there was another episode where they went to like a jail. I think it was I don't think it was Alcatraz, but it was one of the jails that they went to, and they had set up a static camera, and what very clearly was a raccoon walked through the frame. And Ryan was like, a ghostly pair of eyes entered the frame. And literally everyone in the comments was like, that's a fucking raccoon, Ryan.
Oh, no.
And he just like won't admit that it was a raccoon. And I was like, I've kind of like lost a little bit of respect for this.
Right.
And they keep using all these like weird devices that I think are garbage. And they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
And it feels like a lot of their content is trying too hard right now.
I saw a TikTok, because that's kind of how I've been keeping up with all of the stuff that broke out, was where someone was specifically talking about like the best part of like BuzzFeed Unsolved was like the text overlay of them just having banter back and forth. That was so much fun. And I was like, I did really love that. It was hysterical.
That's why it's so memeable.
Exactly.
Right. And like part of that's the BuzzFeed aesthetic. Like part of that is of an era where that was the style of content that was being created.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with them wanting to grow as producers.
Sure.
I think that is also something I got a little bit of flack in my comments for being like, someone basically was like, well, they just don't, fans don't want them to grow. And I'm like, that's not true. We just don't want them to lose who they are.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't sign up for another Travel Channel ghost show.
Right.
I signed up for these two idiots going on ghost hunts.
Yep.
And like, I think it's fair to be frustrated when the content shift is such that it's no longer reminiscent, or it's like moving away from what you signed up for.
Yep.
And so they recently put out a video called Goodbye YouTube, which was very shortly followed up by a video called An Update. But what it boils down to is the Goodbye YouTube video was this like highly overproduced video about how they had outgrown YouTube as a platform. They wanted to like explore the non-YouTube algorithm-y, advertiser-driven like ways of making the content that they wanted to do, quote unquote. So they were moving to a private, paid, their own subscription service, a la Dropout. It's an unfair comparison because Dropout started very differently, but that's the closest you can get to a comparison of what they were trying to do. And it was met with immediate ridicule.
I loved it.
Rightfully so.
I loved it.
That video was so bad.
Did
you watch it?
No, I was about to tell you. I didn't watch it. I could, like, the secondhand embarrassment would have killed me.
Oh,
but I want to know, like, walk me through, like, did you see it break on TikTok first, or did you see it come up on your like YouTube page and you're like, what the fuck is this?
I was at work and Caitlin texted me.
Of course.
I was like, did you watch this? And I was like, what are you talking about? And my friend Beth also did. And she was like, did you watch the Watcher update? And I was like, no. Wait, I was at a conference. Oh, no! I was like, wait a minute. I went to a conference called Labor Notes, which is basically about unions and labor. And I was there as part of the Great Labor Arts Exchange, which is a subset of it where we do like singing.
The most Erin.
Yeah, the most Erin thing. And I was like at lunch sitting there and I get all these texts of like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, I can't watch it right now. Like, I won't have time. I'm in this like 14-hour a day conference. And so I watched it in the hotel room later and just like, but I did watch it on TikTok kind of break. And I was like, oh, this is bad. This could be the end of this organization. Like I was like instant clowning on these people.
Yep.
And when I watched the video, I was like, oh, they deserve it. I was like, yeah, the fandom's not wrong.
Yep.
That's the problem. I was like, when the TikTok discourse is unified, you fucked up.
It's over.
You fucked up.
Yep.
Not a single person was defending them at the time. Like right off the bat. It did devolve a little bit and then it got into like more complicated discourse, but the initial response that everybody said was, what the fuck?
Yep.
And I think that was right.
Correct.
So for those of you who haven't seen it, I do recommend going to watch it because, wow, it's a real masterclass in what not to do. They basically made this like very overly edited, like highly produced video where they're doing these like straight to camera interviews about how YouTube will always mean so much to them, but like they've really outgrown the platform as creators. They wanted to like build this company in a different direction and they want to grow in their artistic vision. And so like we're leaving YouTube, and they very clearly had set up this thing that like we were supposed to think they were like auteurs for doing it. And like they introduced that they were going to do another like Worth It style show with Steven and Andrew Ilnicki from the BuzzFeed days. And it just like Steven said something along the lines of, we set the price of the new subscription model at a price that everyone can afford, which came off as really shitty.
Yep.
And people rightfully instantly were like, first of all, you do not have the content to back this up.
Nope.
What are you talking about? You put out one episode a week most of the year. Not even 100% of the year.
Oof.
They have not posted anything other than those videos since it happened. I was like, because they're currently filming. They don't post while they're filming. Like, it's so weird.
Yikes.
Second of all, how fucking dare you
Yup.
come at your followers, notoriously not well off followers,
right.
by the way, and say that everyone can afford this in a time of like some of the greatest economic uncertainty that people have gone through in their young adult lives.
Mm-hmm.
And third of all, like, you are not better than YouTube.
Mm-mm.
No.
Absolutely
this is
not.
Garbage. So there, initially it was like everything is going to be put behind the paywall. They were going to migrate all of their YouTube videos off of the platform onto this thing. They backtracked on that instantly.
So fast.
To the point where they're like kind of gaslighty about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, that was never the plan. I was like, yes, it was.
Yep.
It was early on in the plan because it's in the Variety article that you put out.
Mm-hmm.
But also like it was just brutal to like watch that go down.
Yeah.
And I will say the memes, stellar.
Great.
People were like, I would pay $6 a month or $60 a year to be a fly on the wall in the Watcher offices right now.
Yes.
And there was one, I don't know if I can find it. There was one that just absolutely killed me where, did I send it to Mary? Let me see if I can find it. Talk about something funny while I look this up.
Oh, sure. Let's see.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm a thinking.
Well, what were you seeing at the time?
Yeah, well, like I saw TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
It broke on TikTok, and I was like, "What is this, Watcher? Goodbye, YouTube." And so I watched a lot of people's reactions to it, and then I saw like people would intersplice the video, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bad idea. That's not going to be good." Because again, like I was a very casual fan of Watcher. And I hadn't seen a video in years. And I think like to the point that the last episode I tried to watch of Too Many Spirits or whatever, I watched it and I was like, it's not for me anymore. I was like, this is fine. I'm in a different place in my life. And I was so like a lot of the things that people were pointing out, I didn't even know anymore. Like I didn't realize how little content they were putting out. And so when someone was like, oh, that you don't have enough content for that, and they were pointing out like, oh, you do this amount of episodes and this and this, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not enough for a whole other streaming service. I loved how immediately people were like, I'm not paying you $6 a month for like X amount of things. Like I pay that for Hulu, student Hulu, and there's thousands and thousands of hours of like random things that I can watch on there.
The reason people compared it to Dropout is that is the Dropout cost.
Yeah.
And Dropout has so much more content.
So much.
Of much higher production value.
Yeah.
And much more complexity.
Yeah.
And I was like, y'all thought I'm never going to find it. But it was like, I saw some reads.
Yeah.
In the real sense of the word, where it was like, whoa, okay, you fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think, as a fan, it feels like they had some vanity projects that they wanted us to fund.
Agree.
Honestly,
yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It is exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, it was just really shitty.
How I am so curious about this is something that has kind of risen out of like once the dust settled of the initial shock of things. I am so curious as to where you stand or like what your thoughts are on people kind of exclusively blaming Stephen Lin for it.
Yeah, I think it's complicated.
Yeah.
I do think it was racially motivated in some ways. He is obviously visibly East Asian.
Yep.
Ryan is also Asian.
Yep.
And that is something to bear in mind. But
Yep.
I think Stephen is more so somebody who like talks about race and is like known for that. And he has also not been shy about being pretty capitalistic.
Yeah.
And finance bro-y.
His Tesla.
The Tesla, he'll talk about it. They kind of joke about it. Some of the jokes that they've made about Stephen have aged like a fine glass of milk.
Oh, yup.
Where he just like comes across as this sort of like dude bro mentality. He has defended people who were kind of shitty in the past. But at the same time, I think people went too far in saying this is Stephen's fault and kind of
he
like
was the only person over
it was
that
like
decision.
The three of them made that decision, or frankly, the company made that decision.
Yep.
Where I think Stephen rightfully, he is the CEO. So I think what people may or may not realize, they talked about it in a podcast, is that Ryan and Shane stepped back from true leadership of the company. They used to all three be CEOs or basically share that sort of C-suite level.
Right.
Ryan and Shane stepped back to become basically the artistic directors of the company or the equivalent, whatever title there is.
Sure.
Stephen is the CEO. He is the business of that production company. So when it boils down to it, yeah, it is Steven's call to make financial decisions like that, if we are to understand that relationship correctly. Yeah. That said, there is no way that Shane and Ryan got outvoted or like outmaneuvered into making this choice. Frankly, I wonder if it wasn't partially their idea.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they were talking in that video said to me that artistically, that's what they wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I think the sort of like woobification of Ryan and Shane and this sort of like, ooh, like they're such little small beans. They could not possibly have said no to poor mean Steven is bullshit. And I think it got it like the way that I framed it in my TikTok, I was like, people took that as permission to be really shitty and bully for things that were not acceptable. That doesn't mean that Steven's not at fault. I was like, still wrong, but like that doesn't mean you get to go be a racist prick about it.
Right.
And like I also think they're like the thing that I don't understand about this decision too. I was like, did you do no market research? Did you not think at all about how the internet was gonna, because this is not some like deeply out of touch like corporate monopoly thing that like doesn't need to talk to its audience. I was like, you have a Patreon. Yeah. You have direct contact with your audience. And you're also by and large millennials and Gen Z people who understand how the internet works.
You've been on the internet for so long.
To then get mad or like to get defensive about the memification of your bullshit. I was like, what did you think was going to happen? Like this should not have come as a surprise to you.
Yeah.
Was your head that so far up your own ass? Really?
And that's wild because I'm like, yeah, what did you expect? People would just be like, oh, of course, I'm going to go sign up for this. I cannot wait.
And that's where I think this was an ego issue.
Yeah.
I think they got absolutely blinded by their own ego and made really terrible decisions. And it blew up in their faces. Yep. Rightfully so.
Agreed.
But yeah, I feel like to tie it back to like a larger thing, I think that is kind of the failure point, the critical failure of making your identity your brand, which is what content creators kind of by nature have to do. Yeah. And I was like, people are personally offended by this because you've sold them a version of yourselves that would never do this.
Yeah.
And then you did. So I get why people are mad.
Yeah, it shatters the whole perception of a person that you thought you knew. And like, especially with content creators where so much of it is based on like, I'm your friend and like this is like a parasocial relationship in which I can talk to you and like, you know, it's all about the fans, and then to have that illusion shatter so quickly and so like swiftly is jarring.
Right. And then to be reminded that it's a business relationship.
Yes, that is so that's a difficult pill to swallow at any point, but like specific in these kind of like fan spaces. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And like that was kind of where I think some of the after the initial discourse settled and like the people, they posted that retraction and they were like, we're not going to do that. Never mind. It's a bad idea. Just kidding. People were so quick to shit on them and blah, blah, blah. And so like the defenders came out. Yeah. And I was like, and people were all like, you know, I really like the word parasocial has been overused and it's almost become meaningless in online discourse because I was like, I don't think y'all realize like that it's okay to identify that somebody is selling you a product. Right. And that product is themselves. And to be unhappy with the terms of that product at the end of the day. Because like I was a Patreon. Like I was a patron of that and I quit it. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, this no longer is the thing that I was like that I thought I was investing in. Yeah. It goes against my values as a person. And like that doesn't mean that I was sitting there being like, I am personally betrayed by Ryan and Shane. I was like, no, like this is not what I thought it was. Yeah. That's disappointing.
Exactly.
I'm frustrated by that. But like for people to come back and be like, all y'all can't tell the difference between like reality, whatever. I saw some of that and I was like, no, that's not what we're saying. Right. We're saying what they did was shitty. Yeah. And I think that's okay.
That's true.
That is not people being blinded by like parasocial devotion or whatever, you know, to be betrayed by that.
Agreed. Yeah. Fully.
But it also sort of harkens back to stan culture, I think.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that's been going down with folks like Brittany Broski and Hank and John Green and like how a lot of content creators have built brands on being sort of like left leaning and good people and like thoughtful and a little bit activisty, but not really. But like, you know, they share these values and they want to use their platform to like do good things. And then if they're silent on particular issues, or if they don't do things, or if they don't step up in ways that the audience feels they should, it becomes a huge betrayal. To people. And it's on one hand understandable, on the other hand it becomes very difficult to parse out what is parasocial and what is just like the fracturing of that identity as brand.
That's really interesting. And like I think it also makes me think of something we were talking about. I can't remember if it was earlier this episode or in the previous episode, but about like how there comes a point too where like if a person who is, you know, is in the public eye, or like someone who has branded their identity wants to change and like is shifting into something different, or like is making different kinds of content, how difficult it is sometimes for fans to adapt to that, or like, you know, allow, like, because it is all about that like balancing of like, this is a real human person with real desires and needs, but also has chosen to become a brand, become the thing that they're selling, and how we interact with the things in like, it's not social media, like pop culture, any kind of that other world. It forces us to have to think about how we are interacting with that,
right? And
not everyone is equipped in the correct way.
And it's hard. Like I think we're sort of nitpicking at this really complex web of contradictions almost, because it's like, on the one hand, you shouldn't have like it's really not healthy to build these relationships with people you don't actually know, or to like invest a whole bunch of energy,
right,
and like feel like you've really put a whole bunch of, you know, stock in something that you don't really know. But at the same time, that's what it is. Like that is fandom. That is like, you know, like you can't, like, fandom doesn't exist without that investment. So it's like this push pull of like, you can't really win either way. And to me, I do think that in this era, like, we are past the point where I think any content creator, celebrity can say that they didn't know what they were getting into. When they started that journey. This is a logical conclusion to every content creator's journey. And anybody who is like, gets defensive or gets mad, like, I think you can be overwhelmed. I cannot imagine the stress of going through that experience, because but to be unprepared for that possibility
is wild,
is negligence at best. Like, that is absolutely something that you should be prepared for in the modern era.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying about egos get in the way, and like, you let your ego get too big. If, like, you know, when your identity becomes your brand and your brand starts to do really well, you're like, oh my God, that's never going to happen to me. I'm never going to have that kind of a like slip up or a fall. Like, you know, it's me, X person, whatever. And so it becomes so much harder to, like, you lose sight of yourself amongst all of that.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there was really funny. Someone was like, if I had a nickel for every time 3 YouTube guys had to sit down on a couch and apologize for something, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot. But it's weird that it happened twice. But like, to that end, I also think this is something we've talked about before. I think new media has a real HR problem. Has a real business problem. Where I was like, a lot of these companies are playing fast and loose. And skating on goodwill, and they have real startup energy. And like, it's happening very publicly. And I think it is a disservice in these situations for these organizations to really eschew some of the business stuff that larger organizations have for a reason. Like, there's a reason you have an HR department. There's a reason you have a PR department. And for these new media companies, I feel like a lot of them, Like, they don't feel like they have to have it, or they're like, I'm interested in this from like a labor perspective. I'm like, if you don't have, like, they're not investing in those, or at least publicly, they're not talking about those. So like these crises come up and I'm like, why are you so wildly unprepared for this? I was like, BuzzFeed would never, you know, like they have a whole team of corporate lawyers on standby, and part of that's money for sure. Like, I know that that's partially a money thing, but I was like, maybe you should have a market research person. Like, maybe there's a reason that certain things are done in specific ways.
Right.
And like the fact that they probably had to go out and hire a crisis PR team, probably the same one as the Dry Guys.
Yep.
I'm like, the fact that Ned Fulmer was their HR person. I was like, yo, you are not thinking like business people.
No.
And that is to your detriment as well.
Yeah. Which
is wild, because that's the argument leveled against Stephen Lim, that he's too businessy. But at the same time, I'm like, I think you're just bad at it. Yeah. I think you're a wannabe business person.
Yep.
I think you want to be one of those, like, you know, like big entrepreneur types, but I don't think you actually know what you're talking about.
Well, like, it goes into like, what facet of business are you thinking? Like, if you're thinking business bro, where it's like, oh, profit, like, how do we get it, like profit margins or whatever, etc. But you're not thinking about how a business is run, the structure of all of those things, like what you're saying, which is, I think, is very insightful about all like HR and like PR and all of these other departments, that it's so easy to be like, oh, we're not corporate, like we don't need those things, but it's like, they exist for a reason.
Right. Yep. And like, do they have adequate support for their staff?
I bet not.
And I think that's shitty.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I see the videos of these people and I'm like, clearly your staff is working like crazy hours and they're doing all this work. And then like, I see a lot of what we went through in our early career of being a little bit taken advantage of. Yeah. And the industry as a whole, this is an industry problem. It happens across arts and culture industries, where it's like, because you're passionate about the work, you're willing to put up with a certain amount of stuff. And I obviously don't speak for anybody in the company. I don't know anybody in the company. So like, this is all just like really second or third hand perspective as somebody who's, you know, a fan, really. But I do worry about the people on the ground that make that company work. I'm like, are you being treated well? Like, do you have adequate support in moments of crisis like this? Or do you feel comfortable saying no to things? I don't know. Like, are you paid adequately? Like, I have questions. If your company doesn't have an HR person, who do you go to?
Yeah. If
your company doesn't, like, if you don't have those people, like, how do you prevent the kind of toxic shit that we went through? And that's not even to say that HR is particularly useful. Like, you can make arguments that like the structure, like we had an HR, I was HR. That didn't solve the problem.
Right.
But at the same time, it was something.
Yeah. There's like, it's about the like intention behind it. It was like making sure, like the goodwill of not, what's sort of like the exploitation of workers. You want to make sure that you have things in place that are specifically in place for the protections of those people that don't have like any stake in the company, or who don't have a seat at that table.
And not to like loop it back around, but like new media is not union.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be scary in the upcoming year. I was like, part of the reason, like, again, not that unions are perfect, not that, obviously we've seen that like unions don't always solve problems, but if you work in film, if you work in TV, if you work in theater, many of the positions in those industries have an opportunity to join a union. And they have some protection. Yep. They have a contract. New media does not have an equivalent. And I think that is something that has to change.
Yeah.
Because I think unless and until there's some amount of regulation or just sort of like internal control within the industry, we are going to keep seeing these companies that just like are playing fast and loose and make stupid choices, and then they like dissolve. Like, there's a very good chance that Watcher doesn't survive this.
Yeah, I'm curious about how that's gonna go. I'm really surprised that they haven't released anything since that update.
I'm not.
I guess that makes sense.
I'm not at all. Some people did. I think they've posted, I guess maybe they've posted on their subscription service. Oh. But I'm not in that because I'm not paying them for it. So it's one of those things like, you know, I don't know. All that. Oh, also, I think one of the things that like I think we don't talk about enough is the cultural cachet of being quote unquote woke or quote unquote lefty.
Yeah.
And then when that like blows up. So I'm thinking about Shay Madej specifically.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, because as I thought about that, I was like, wait a minute, that subscription service is still a thing. They didn't dismantle it. They're keeping it. It's just they're going to keep on posting on YouTube or stuff. But I was like, part of why people were betrayed is that Shane kept talking about like fuck capitalism.
Exactly, like pirating things.
Right.
Like,
he was like pirate, like share the thing. And then all of a sudden he's hawking a subscription paywall. And we were like, the fuck? You sold us a very particular version of yourself, good sir.
Yeah.
And like,
so fuck capitalism when it's everyone else's, but we have to respect your capitalism.
Right. I think like, now I'm mad again. Yeah. Fuck that. That sucks.
It's ridiculous.
That sucks.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. That's why I was mad. Now
Good.
I remember.
Yeah.
I got 2 in the discourse weeds. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this did suck.
It was bad.
It was a betrayal.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah. Anyway. All that to say, that's like partially, that's what I think is happening with a lot of content creators right now, is they've built a brand on like jokingly, or like maybe not jokingly, but like they'll say stuff like that. And then when the cards are down, they're just like everybody else.
Yep.
And they're part of a system just like everybody else. And that's why people get frustrated. And I can understand needing to make money. That is not the problem here.
Of course.
I get it.
Yeah.
But like there's playing the game, and then there's trying to like game the system.
Yeah.
Or like game your fans.
Yes.
And that, no.
Because like one of the things that like kept coming up in the discourse immediately after was like, they have a Patreon that does good numbers for a Patreon. And it's like, so in addition to that, you want them to then also pay the subscription service. And it's like,
oh, it was bad.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I can't imagine the gall of like having a Patreon and then going to that Patreon and being like, but actually I'm putting everything behind a paywall. Pay me more to interact with it. And that Patreon wasn't even that good. I wondered. Yeah.
Oh, I was in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good. So I paid the $5 a month Patreon, but there was $5 a month. The tiers were $5 a month, $20 a month, and $100 a month.
Oh my God.
Which is a fucking jump.
That's ridiculous.
Let me tell you. And like, I can't fathom why anybody paid more than the $5 one, because the perks were not that good. Oof. It was like, get a free t-shirt or something, and like have like exclusive like AMAs or whatever on the I was like, no. You couldn't pay me enough money to like get into these things. So for Watcher to have a Patreon that they weren't even like using well, to then be like, to have the gall. Also, they were transitioning the Patreon to just be podcast content.
Oh.
So they took the content that was available for free on their podcasting service and put that behind a paywall too.
Oh my God.
And they changed the terms of the Patreon without telling Patreon that that's what they were going to do.
No.
To do that, I was like, the unmitigated audacity of that. I immediately was like, well, I'm not going to pay $5 a month for podcast stuff I don't listen to.
Of course not.
No, why would I?
Fuck that.
And I was like, there are so many other ways that you could have done this.
Yeah.
I was like, you could have fixed your Patreon model first and foremost.
Literally, that should have been
That's all you
step.
had to do.
Yeah.
Is make your your Discord actually, and like your Patreon stuff actually useful. The main perk I was paying for it was that I would get videos early.
That's awesome. And such a and that's the kind of the thing too, where I'm thinking like, I feel like there's so many low lift ways to like kind of get to what you were trying to do. If I like, and I wasn't in that room, I don't know all of the, different motivations, but I'm like, I can see a through line for like, what you're saying. Like if you revamped your Patreon, or like were more active in your Discord, and, people just want to see videos early. Like those are all things that are so easily done, good, fast incentives.
Find that tweet. It was so good.
Is that what you're doing?
Sure. Please come up. Please come up.
Please.
Oh, I gotta find it. Oh, because I'm pretty sure. Here's the thing. It was in one of those TikToks of people just reading the comments and laughing, which was really funny.
I love that.
And this person was like, I've had a really hard time my whole life. I'm dyslexic. I find it a real struggle to get through words and blah, blah, blah. But at least I can read a fucking room. That was basically the tweet I'm looking for.
Incredible.
If I can find it.
That's
it was
hysterical.
So funny. But that's really what it was. They so wildly misread the room.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is an ego trip for you.
Yeah.
And you fucked up.
Yeah, it's just like we can talk about this all day, but it really feels like it, like talk about not being connected to your fan base anymore at all. Yeah. Like to have thought this is gonna go well. This is what the fans want.
Right.
Bad.
Somebody also said in a YouTube comment, there was like one YouTube poll and this whole thing could have been avoided.
Truth.
So true.
So fucking true.
Like they didn't think to ask any of the people that were already paying them money what they would want. It's like, I can solve this riddle for you.
Yep.
It's not this.
It's again, just such an easy, just ask. Yeah. It would have been taking you 2 seconds.
Which is why I'm like, they could not possibly have had a market researcher in the room.
No.
They just did it.
Yep.
I was like, you do not have the adequate business knowledge to know what this is. You need to start getting experts in the space with you. You need to get people who understand best practices in the industry you're in.
Yep.
You cannot fly by the seat of your pants anymore.
Nope.
Also, get a fucking finance person. Because, like, what are you spending your money on?
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. Did you see, there was a lot of discourse, too, around Shane's partner on Tumblr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and how she was, or they, I don't want to make assumptions. But they were talking about... how like it takes money to like pay all of the people that they have on staff, and people are like, then maybe your staff is too large.
Right.
Like, why? Where's your business model?
Right. Like, that was the thing. Their post was basically like, people think YouTubers are really like living large, and that's not the case. I was like, I don't think any of us think that's the problem here.
Yeah.
The problem is that like you just hired on 2 of the BuzzFeed guys to do an expensive food show when you're also saying you're out of money.
Yep.
We're not going to finance it for you.
Yeah.
You need to make some decisions. No one wants you to lay off your staff, okay? No one wants that.
Of course.
Do not think that that's what I'm saying. But there also does come a point where you as business people have to figure out your shit. Yeah. And if that means not making the expensive content that you want to make because you made commitments to your staff that you need to fulfill first, then fucking do it.
Yep.
Like, deal with it. You cannot have all of the things that you want. Wish you could.
Yeah.
But you don't
Life don't work that way.
You don't have the funding for it.
No.
Start making some better decisions.
100%.
I was like, maybe people don't have to, maybe you shouldn't be outsourcing. They also said something in the video about like outsourcing a bunch of stuff for the Ghost Files stuff. Like they had to bring in like contractors for things. And I was like, maybe do it in-house.
Do it in-house, yeah.
I was like, what are you spending your money on? I have so many questions.
Oh, man.
I was like, you being bad at money is not my fault.
Right.
I'm not going to fix it for you. I'm already giving you my money. It's like the weird family member who takes your money and then like spends it on stuff. And you're like, where are you spending it?
You stole me from last time.
You told me that this was for rent. Why hasn't your rent been paid?
Yep.
Or just like, no, I'm not. No.
Yeah.
Enough. Like, you do have to make some business decisions. It might mean that you have to have fewer people. It might mean that, and that sucks balls.
Oh,
but
sure.
That's owning a business.
Exactly.
You probably shouldn't have done the worth it show.
Yeah, it's part of the responsibility. God, the fact that it was worth it. I'm like, God, are you fucking kidding? The show in which you go out and spend a fuck ton of money to taste things,
right?
That's not the one to bring back.
Was funny when it was BuzzFeed's money.
Exactly.
Was funny
when it was not sticking its capitalism.
Right.
When we're the ones backing it, absolutely
That's
not.
also partially why I think Steven was pinpointed as like the villain, because
True.
that is clearly
His
Steven
show.
vanity project that was being pitched. And Ghost Files has existed for a while, so like I think probably it was partially that, but I think, you know, people hearing that Worth It was coming back was like the straw.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Fuck Steven. I'm not gonna pay for him to eat truffle pasta."
Yep.
Which is true. That's
fair. Absolutely.
I was like,
do it on your own fucking dime.
Yeah, you make enough money for a Tesla. I think you can buy your own truffle pasta.
Yep.
But yeah, we could go in circles about this forever. But
Agreed.
I just think it's interesting, and I think to tie it back to what we do, I think if ever we start to go down that path of caring more about money than we do about this podcast, put us out of our misery.
Right. It couldn't be us, though.
That
being said, we're announcing the start of our...
Oh my God. No. That's why, and so the idea of trying to be different and trying to get away from the corporate advertising model is not a bad idea.
Right.
And that's what's frustrating. Like, there's a piece of a seed of that idea that you're like, yeah, okay. I also want to make like a different world where content exists in a different way, where you don't have to rely on fucking Amazon to like fund your creativity. If that's what you're going to do, then you can't then just like perpetuate it in your own. It's the difference between dismantling a system and building a parallel system where you were at the top. It's like the different, like those are two different things. And I feel like what we are trying to do and why we do not make a lot of money doing it and have to be okay with that is that we are trying to do something different.
Yep.
There are plenty of people who are also trying to do something different. So for them to come out and be like, we are so super special was a slap in the face
for sure to
everybody who's trying to be ethical in the way that they content create. And like, I like the thing about it too is like if you want to do that, then you kind of also have to be okay with like not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be okay with the consequences of opting out of the system, which like we have accepted into our hearts.
Right, exactly.
As the one true savior.
We're in the red every year.
I was like, the amount of money I've spent on cons wildly outweighs.
Oh God, I wasn't even. I was thinking like hosting and like street all of the things.
No, it's all come out of our pockets.
I didn't even considered the amount of money we have sunk on like going to cons.
For the first time ever, we made back a good chunk of what we spent last year, which is awesome. That felt great. Incredible. Thank you, Squishables. Please email me back about future stuff. But like that felt really great.
Yeah,
it's not why we do it
exactly.
And like we were also okay with the fact that like we may never get that again.
Yeah.
But also like that's why we have day jobs.
Exactly.
Like literally,
this is for
that's
fun.
why.
This is on the side.
Right. Like, and I, you know, if something is your job, I guess it's a different thing. You do have to be financially solvent, but like, you're not entitled to it.
Exactly.
You're not entitled to a job where you are creative and get to do exactly what you want to do all the time. That's not how life works.
Right.
Sorry, you're going to have to figure this out, buckaroo.
Yeah. And I'm really like, I'm having a whole moment where I'm like, I'm really interested in like exploring how like fame, quote unquote, or like just more like public awareness of a thing affects a person, like the psyche of a person, and like how that become like how you become from someone who, you know, sits at a dining room table recording something to then, oh, we're going to launch our own streaming service. Like what kinds of things that does to the psychology of a human to like see like all of the success, all of this outpouring love, and like just thinking slowly but surely like they might think that they are still doing the thing and then like have just completely lost sight of like why they started. And so it's just a fascinating case study of that for me.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
Yeah.
And like to that end, like I had a teeny tiny little brush with being known on a public scale. And it wasn't like I was known for anything in particular. It was like I had a teeny tiny little brush with going quote unquote viral for a thing in college, which we've talked about before, I think. Basically I got like quoted during a thing where we decided not to do the vagina monologues in school anymore, and I got called like a fascist or whatever. I don't care. I stand by it. You can Google it.
Eve Ensler's still
still my mortal enemy. But that 6 months still impacts how I operate on this podcast to this day.
Yeah.
That experience changed my relationship with media because I don't ever want to be in that situation again.
Yeah.
And I am perpetually terrified that that's going to happen again. And so I think that it is like I can have empathy and have sympathy for the fear of what they must have been going through.
Sure.
When their livelihoods were what's at stake.
Yeah.
My safety was a little bit at stake, but really I didn't have anything else riding on it. I was like, I had to be careful because people were trying to dox me, but like it wasn't successful and it wasn't likely to be an issue for much longer. Like there was a finite amount of time and it wasn't like I had a public persona to protect.
Right.
I can have empathy for the people who go through these things and who have staked their entire livelihoods on this way.
Of course.
To then have it blow up in your face must be absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And responding with not the most graceful thing, I try to hold some space for that.
It's very...
Because they're operating from a place of sheer terror.
Very compassionate of you.
But that doesn't mean that what they did was right.
It doesn't excuse you of that accountability.
Right. And especially in this industry, you have to know that that's an eventuality. Like, that's a possibility. Yeah. It is entirely possible that that's what's going to happen. Example. Here's an example of someone who I think handled it well.
Yeah.
Dropout had a kerfuffle with their most recent live show.
Oh, interesting.
They took Dimension 20 to Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden is a Ticketmaster venue. It's a Live Nation venue. And when people went in to do the ticket pre-sale, there was something activated in that sale called dynamic pricing.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't done, I don't know how you've missed it in our lives up to this point, but if you're not familiar with dynamic pricing, it means that the ticket prices literally change based on demand. So there were fans who were looking at a ticket that was $50, and then they clicked back into it and it had gone up to $75 or $100. And obviously people were like, Brennan, anti-capitalist, Lee Mulligan, whomst?
Right.
Like, what? Sam Reich, what the fuck? And people were rightfully angry at that. And Dropout put out a statement that basically was like, we fucked up. We did not understand what this would look like. They were like, frankly, we did not expect the response that we got, which was our own fault. We should have been better prepared for what this situation was going to be. There is a certain amount of lack of control that we have in the contracting process with these venues, where we have, like, we don't have as much leverage as you think we do. We do have some. We should have used it better.
Yeah.
In the future, this is what we're going to do. Here's what we're doing to rectify the situation as much as we can. We hope you can forgive us. We understand if you can't.
Love that.
That's all it fucking took, man.
So simple.
Talk about a brand that understands their audience. And I was like, at some point, you do have to just say, like, we fucked up.
Yeah, our bad.
And here's what we're going to do. And, like, Watcher tried to do that. But, like, it wasn't particularly satisfying.
No.
Because I don't think they think they were wrong.
Exactly. I don't think it comes from a place of them having actually reflected on their decisions and wish they'd done something different. I think it's them like, oh, I don't want to be hated.
Yeah, it's bad. It is 20 minutes until game time for our Discord.
Great.
So I feel like we should take a 20-minute break.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I love that. This has been wildly illuminating.
Yeah.
I love this conversation.
This was so interesting. I loved it.
I love just us chatting.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's so fun.
But let us know what you think. And also let us know if there's any other topics. Like, this was great. We had something was happening in the fandom sphere that we were like, we can talk about this.
Right.
But, let us know if there's anything specific you would want to hear about this season. We're always open to ideas.
Some of the things that are bopping around in my brain, but please let us know if you are actually interested in it, is the controversy around binding and selling fanfic.
Yeah,
that one I feel like we should talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it, really. That's the only one I can think of right now.
And it's one item.
Yeah, I think there was other stuff, but we're like 3 hours into this recording, so yeah, like my brain's mashed potatoes. But yeah, definitely let us know if that's something you want us to talk about, or if there are other topics that I'm not thinking of right now, and we're happy to do that.
Yeah.
You can find us at theficlist.com on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, every place that there is a podcast online, we're there.
Yep.
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
Yep.
Tumblr,
run by the inimitable Caitlin.
Love Tumblr. You can join our Discord. It's 18+.
Yep.
That is linked in our bio, all the places. And if you have any business propositions for us, theficlist@gmail.com.
Exactly.
You just don't send us like any business venture.
I know. What a way to end an episode about.
No. If you want to be a sponsor of an episode, if you are an author who maybe wants to be on the episode, there's stuff. I can think of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a Gmail. If you want to just send us a compliment, someone did that once. It was really nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
Please do. I want more of those.
Someone sent an email that was just, I like your podcast. And I was like, thanks.
This
is so
sweet.
nice.
Yeah.
I needed this today.
More of those.
Yeah, that was great. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.